whilst that passion is still there, I'm up for it. Everyone has their time. We'll make that decision in due course.
Recognize with the devil.
You know, the last couple of weeks in conversations with Graham, it was clear that there was an appetite for change in the program, and I could sense that as well. And I think of my messages, my manner, the way that I lead is established, and we had a general sense that it was time for something different. There was time for something new and something fresh, and I think this is the right time for the football club.
Either see a rise, or I think you've got to make some tough calls, whether it's to go on or to pull the pin on Nathan Buckley.
It's going to be difficult now for Bucks no matter what.
The longer Nathan Buckley plays that brand of football, the quicker his end will come as a Collingwood coach.
I'm the king, you're the killer.
We haven't performed the way we would have liked to at the early stage of this season. I've had 9.5 years at the helm after 2 years as an assistant coach in 2010 and 11. So I've had a fair crack at it, and everyone has its time. Every relationship, every person has their time, and mine has come, and I'm really content with the decision that's been reached, and I'm pretty confident that the club will be in really good shape going forward.
Buckley is lurking there, to Buckley, the one low. Buckley will kick the goal anyway. What a leader!
When I spoke to the program about an hour ago, the overwhelming message that I had was one of gratitude. I feel like I've been blessed to be a part of this football club over a large period of time. I walked into it as a 21-year-old in November 1993 down at Vic Park. I said to the guys this morning that Tony Shaw took me under his wing and taught me how to go about making the most of my opportunities as a footballer.
Nathan Buckley has got this crowd buzzing.
I really have a great passion for this place, the people within it, and the people that we represent. And I've always felt that I've given my all to the multiple roles that I've played at the club over the last sort of 28 years. It is a bit sad to understand that that'll be coming to an end on Monday.
It was remarkably swift and clean. It was dignified and classy. It had all the traits that we've come to learn from Nathan Buckley. They flavoured his departure from the club. Ultimately, Collingwood decided that it wanted change and it needed change, and Buckley, as he always said he would, adhered to that.
Yeah, he spoke. He spoke brilliantly, but anyone who's watched football and watched Nathan Buckley over the last decade and a half, even when he was playing, he's got a tremendous ability to think on his feet. Under pressure and not under pressure, and today, and we've spoken about this several times this year, Gerard, going all the way back to, I reckon, round 3, round 4, we felt there's a calmness had come over Nathan Buckley. I raged at you, though. I want him to rage, yeah. But he wasn't. He was really calm, as if he'd come to grips that this might be the end of his career, so he wasn't clutching on as tight as maybe other people in football are. And he, the beauty about the speech today from Buckley, and I think he's been unfairly targeted through his career, that's all about him. Today wasn't all about Nathan Buckley. He had to answer the questions about what you're going to do and what you're thinking. But the way he spoke about his football club and what the football club gave to him is that word dignity that you just showed. These highlights here, Gerard, I saw them on the weekend. I wrote about this in Monday's paper, that this man had been fighting for a win and lifting him and picking him up and watching him hug those players as they were coming in. I thought, OK, he's going to have a really good, solid 8-9 weeks coming home. So I was as shocked as anyone when I was just listening to you this morning at home, and then you said, well, I got some breaking news. Buckley's resigned. I went, wow. Took the AFL by surprise.
Yep.
Gillon McLachlan was in an All-Australian mid-year meeting. I made contact with him about something else earlier, and he wasn't aware. You know, so Buckley's, they're pretty tight. So Bucks kept his pretty tight within a small group.
What do you think of the decision overall?
I've got no doubts that the right decision. And people will say I'm saying that because I don't like Bucks. I do like Bucks. Problem is Bucks doesn't like me. But I admire him immeasurably for what he was able to achieve as a player. I once called him the most consistent elite player I've ever seen. Him and Robert Harvey. They were just consistent all the time. And as a coach, when he took over from Mick Malthouse, and everyone was throwing barbs at Bucks, everyone, and including Mick. Mick was having a crack and everyone's having a crack. Bucks never, ever publicly bit back. Did you aware of that? He never had a go at other people. He's had a couple of cracks at me, but I'm the media. He bit his tongue, and he coached and played how he wanted to play, and that got him in some strife because he was such a demanding figure of himself. He thought he could demand the same from others, and I think that took him a while in life to get that balance right, that everyone's not going to be like him.
So we'll talk his legacy shortly. Collingwood's biggest decision was to work out its time frame, and this was very specifically Graham Wright's job. And once the time frame was 3 to 5 years, that's a 10-year coach to go into a 3 to 5 year rebuild. That was a stretch, and Buckley, by his own estimation, couldn't guarantee that he could see out 5 years, and that's while they were going to be trying to put it together to contend. So once Wright settled on that time frame, the necessity for change, the need for change, just becomes logical. Not only irresistible, but just flat out logical.
Do you think if Bucks wanted a 3-year contract, that Bucks would have stayed for a 3-year contract? If the club said, right, we'll give you 3, and Bucks said, OK, I'm happy with 3, do you think there's a possibility that could have played out?
No, because I don't think the club could have gone 3 years. Because 3 years just doesn't get you to the task that needs to be done. So it had to be, will you be here in 5 years' time to actually get to the point where the upswing is there?
But the new coach will probably have to get 3 years, won't they?
Oh, definitely. And that's the first block. And then once you've shown that you can do the job, you get the 2. So usually this is a 5-year stint.
Personally,
a 10-year coach, regardless of personality, can't endure that phase.
Do you think it was the right decision?
I do, in the way that it was all explained. I just think as a matter of logic, for the course that Collingwood has chosen, and then it takes you back to what Buckley described as bizarre, the 18 months that Collingwood has had. And that they have been the architect of their own demise, and that's been my view for a lengthy period of time. So 2021 has been the doomed season. So you can pick this up from heroic win in the Western elimination final, and then utter capitulation the following week in a semi-final. Catastrophic fire sale, jettisoning first-choice players from your team, mishandling the Do Better report and the abrupt resignation of the long-term president, the collapse of hope through the early rounds of the season with what's actually out on the field, the massing of a challenging force to spill the board. Like, I will make you a compelling case that those confluence of events represent the worst period in the history of Collingwood.
No, I don't disagree. And people were asking this bloke to coach and coach well.
He knew,
and please play attacking football.
He would have known coming into the season in his own heart, despite the answers that he is obliged to make publicly to make their stance. He knew this was a doomed season.
Yeah, that's why
I would probably have claimed him.
And that's why I think there was a certain calmness over him from a very early point of the season. He was, Gerard, please tell me you acknowledged it. He was just in control all the way through. He wasn't going to be harassed or menaced. Or his mental health challenged. He had in his private life turned a new page in his book. He knew that footy was going to come to an end, and whatever he is, 52 years of age, his life will open up, and I think he's generally excited about it. I felt that, but it was really interesting just at the end when he was asked, would he coach another team? And I thought that was, he spoke really well. Yeah. So it's not out of him, because you know what did he say? I'm a competitor.
Yeah.
You know, put him in a dogfight. I like dogfights, and that's who Nathan Buckley is. Now, will he coach? The question of Bucks. The funny thing about it, I'd love to have 18 club presidents here and say, would you employ Nathan Buckley? Because wrenching Buckley out of Collingwood and everything to do with Collingwood and put him into a new club, I mean, that'd be a challenge in itself. For both, for the club and for Buck. Maybe Buckley would really flourish in a whole new environment without having the weight of Collingwood on him.
I think he will routinely be privately sounded out and offered senior coaching jobs for the next 3 years. And I think the more that he is in our media and he will enrich us as a profession, the more boards will sit there and listen to him and go, we have to have that at our club. And then it will come down to him whether he still fosters the desire for it, whether it still burns in him, that quest for the premiership, or whether, being the oracle of the game, which I think he will very quickly take up that post, whether that will be enough to fulfil him.